Most people spend their entire lives trying not to think about death. It makes them uncomfortable, it makes them nervous. It is the one topic guaranteed to silence any room and end any conversation instantly. But here is something nobody ever tells you. While you have been avoiding that thought, somebody else has been building a multi-million-dollar business around it. And today, that somebody is you. Imagine waking up one morning to a phone call you never expected. A distant relative has passed away and left everything behind. Not a house, not a car, not a savings account, a funeral home, complete with embalming equipment, a fleet of hearses, a full staff, and a customer base that, by the very nature of human existence, will never run out. Welcome to the death business. And trust me, it is nothing like you think. Most people picture a funeral home as a gloomy building on the edge of town run by someone who never smiles. But what is actually happening inside those walls is one of the most complex, emotionally demanding, and surprisingly profitable operations most people have never thought about. So let us break it all down, because you now own one. A funeral home is not just a place where people get buried. It is a full-service operation that fills the gap between the moment someone takes their last breath and the moment their family finds some kind of peace. That gap is filled with logistics, paperwork, legal requirements, emotional support, and yes, serious money. When someone passes away, your team is often the first call the hospital makes. You arrange the transportation of the body, you handle the death certificates, you coordinate with cemeteries, you manage the embalming, and you sit with grieving families and guide them through every single decision they need to make while they can barely hold themselves together. You are a logistics coordinator, a grief counselor, a business owner, and a human being, all at exactly the same time. Now let us talk about the money, because this is where most people are genuinely shocked. The average funeral in the United States costs between $7,000 and $12,000. A full-service funeral with embalming, a premium casket, a ceremony, and graveside services can push well beyond $15,000. And here is the part that makes your eyes widen. The casket alone, which you purchase from a supplier and resell to the grieving family, can carry a profit markup of anywhere from 100% to 300%. The embalming service, the transportation fee, the use of your facilities, the death certificates, the memorial products, every single one is a separate line item on an invoice that the family almost never questions, because they are grieving and they trust you completely. But the most interesting part of the business model is something called pre-need planning. Families come to you today and pay in full for a funeral service you will deliver in 10, 20, or even 30 years. They lock in today's price, you hold the money now. It is essentially an advance payment from your future customers, and it keeps coming in every single month. Now let us talk about what a typical day actually looks like. The phone does not care what time it is. Death does not operate on business hours. At 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, you get a call from a hospital, your team mobilizes. By sunrise, your staff is preparing the body while you sit across from a family that is completely falling apart. Maybe it is a husband who just lost his wife of 40 years. Maybe it is adult siblings who never agreed on anything, now forced to agree on everything at once. You guide them through every decision. Burial or cremation, open casket or closed, which flowers, which music, how many death certificates they need for insurance and legal purposes, and then they leave, and someone else walks in, and you do it all again. Here is the part of the job nobody prepares you for. Most people experience the loss of a loved one only a handful of times in their entire life. You experience it every single week. You see grief in its most raw and unfiltered form. Over time, something shifts in you. Funeral directors often describe developing a professional emotional distance, not coldness, but a quiet armor that allows them to keep showing up. Compassion fatigue is real in this profession. Burnout is real. The people who last in this business are not the ones who stop caring. They are the ones who learn how to care deeply without being destroyed by it. Now, here is the bigger picture that explains why large corporations are buying funeral homes at a remarkable rate. The funeral industry in the United States generates over $20 billion in revenue every single year. There are roughly 19,000 funeral homes across the country. And the single most important fact about this entire business is this: demand is guaranteed, not projected, not estimated, guaranteed. Every single human being will eventually require these services. During recessions, business continues exactly as always. During a pandemic, business actually accelerates. The funeral industry is, in the most straightforward economic terms, completely recession-proof. The largest funeral corporation in North America owns over 1,900 funeral homes and nearly 500 cemeteries. Their annual revenue exceeds $4 billion. They built an empire on the one guarantee every human life comes with. Your small independent funeral home is not that yet, but it is a foundation. Now, let us be honest about the challenges. Funeral homes are among the most heavily regulated businesses in existence. Licensing requirements for funeral directors are strict in every state. The handling of human remains is governed by federal and local health regulations. Under federal trade law, you are required to provide an itemized price list to every family, a rule that exists specifically because the industry once took advantage of grieving people. Finding and keeping good staff is another real challenge. The work is demanding, the hours are unpredictable, and the emotional toll is high. Good funeral directors do not just appear. They have to be supported, valued, and paid well enough to stay. So can you actually get rich from this? An independent funeral home handling around 200 cases per year can generate between $1.4 million and $2 million in annual revenue. After expenses, the net profit margin typically sits between 10 and 15%. That puts your annual profit somewhere between $140,000 and $300,000. Stable, reliable, consistent, year after year. The real wealth comes from expansion. Owners who grow to multiple locations, add cremation centers, and acquire smaller competitors in their area are the ones who build serious long-term wealth. This industry rewards patience above everything else. The longer you operate, the stronger your reputation, the more pre-need contracts you hold, and the more your business grows without spending a single dollar on advertising. And now here is the part that changes how you think about everything. When you spend your days surrounded by death, something profound happens to the way you see life. Funeral directors will tell you, almost without exception, that this work has changed them. They stop worrying about small things. They stop postponing conversations with the people they love. They stop assuming there is always more time, because they have seen hundreds of times that there is not always more time. The person who planned to retire next year did not make it. The parent who kept saying they would visit soon ran out of soons. The couple who were going to take that trip eventually never got to eventually. There is a quiet wisdom that comes from working this close to death. It strips away everything unimportant and makes your real priorities impossible to ignore. So here you are. You have inherited a funeral home, a business that never loses demand, a profession that society cannot function without, a career that will test your strength, your compassion, and your ability to find meaning in the hardest moments of other people's lives. It is not glamorous, it will not make you famous, but it might teach you something that most wealthy people spend their entire fortunes trying to learn. What actually matters. Every human life ends the same way. The only question is who is there to help the people left behind. And now that person is you.